Good evening. I'll bring this regular city council meeting to order. Please rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Dodd. Thank you.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Ms. Williams.
Mayor McPartlin?
Here.
Vice Mayor Jones?
Here.
Councilmember Dodd?
Here.
And Councilmember Nunn?
Here.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any agenda modifications, council?
Nope.
All right. All right, leads us up to a presentation by our Supervisor of Elections, Leslie Swan. Vote by mail presentation.
Yes. Well, good evening,
Evening.
Mayor McPartlin and council members. I'm Leslie Swan, the Supervisor of Elections, and I want to thank you for this opportunity to speak with you this evening. I'm here for kind of a public service announcement for the residents of the city of Sebastian. As of December 31st, 2024, all vote-by-mail ballot requests expires. And mail ballot request previously had been good through 2 general elections or 4 years, but the legislature made a change to that. So after every general election, folks have to renew their vote-by-mail ballot. So anyone who wishes to continue voting by mail must submit a new request. And you can make that request for a specific elections or all elections through the end of 2026. The easiest way to do that is you can go to our website at voteindianriver.gov and make your request there, or just pick up the phone and call our office, or you can fill out one of the state forms that's on our website and either email it to us, fax it to us, bring it in person, send it through the U.S. mail. And the ballot has to be requested by the voter or a designated immediate family member of the voter or a voter's legal guardian. When you make that request, you're going to have to provide us with your Florida driver's license number or your Florida ID number or the last 4 digits of your social security number so that we can confirm that information with what's printed in your voter record. We mail out those ballots approximately 40 days before the election. And if a voter is not going to be at their Sebastian residence at the time we mail the ballots, you can request the ballot to be mailed anywhere in the world. But that request just has to be made to us in writing. So as I said, as of January 1 this year, all of the vote-by-mail ballot requests expired. We had about 28,000 of them. So at the beginning of 2025, this is what we're trying to do to get people back on the list. In about January, we had, out of the 28,000 people who had a request on file, we had about 24,500 emails. So we sent those out. To anyone who didn't have an email on file and they had a phone number, we made phone calls. So we made about 3,500 phone calls. So we waited a couple more months, and in June, we made a second round of phone calls to folks that reside within the city of Fellsmere, Sebastian, and Vero Beach, because they have upcoming elections. And those who hadn't renewed as a result of our email or phone calls, we made over 3,800 more phone calls. So we're really trying to reach out to folks. And we don't want them to be caught off guard and realize that they think they're getting a ballot, and then by the time they realize, it's too late for us to mail one to them. So you all have an election on November 4th, and to date, 53% of the residents of Sebastian have already renewed their vote-by-mail ballot request. And with every new resident who registers to vote, or if any Sebastian resident changes any of their voter information, they automatically get a new voter information card, and with that card, we're including a vote-by-mail request form. So my call to action is today to please remember, if you want to vote by mail, please do so by picking up the phone or going on our website, and we'll be glad to help you. So we appreciate your time today, and we appreciate the slide that you have out on your social media for us. So we're just trying to get the word out. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, leads up to proclamations. That one first from Mr. Stadelman. You got one more? No? All right. What's a proclamation for the Treasure Coast Waterway Cleanup Week, July 19th through the 27th. Whereas the state of Florida has been blessed with abundant, diverse, and wondrous natural resources, which include freshwater springs, the Gulf, the Atlantic Ocean, the Everglades, and the Treasure Coast's very own estuaries, the St. Lucie River and Indian River Lagoon. And whereas the St. Sebastian River's tributaries provide numerous habitats for our plants and wildlife, the basis for commerce and tourism, countless recreational opportunities, and a source of inspiration and awe. And whereas our growing population and poor behaviors have negatively impacted the health of our waterways in many ways, including one that is hard to miss, litter. Tons of garbage litter our waterways and shorelines, and whereas to help save our rivers, the 18th Treasure Coast Waterway Cleanup will be held on July 26th, thanks to the hard work and dedication of the Marine Industry Association of the Treasure Coast, in conjunction with the Florida Navigation District, sponsors, and thousands of volunteers. And whereas the city of Sebastian has a long history of being a caring boating and fishing community within the Treasure Coast, committed to maintaining and enhancing quality of life for all, and the city cannot honor the commitment without continuing to fight for better water quality within our local waterways. Now, therefore, I, Bob McParland, Mayor of the City of Sebastian, do hereby proclaim July 19th to the 27th to be observed as Treasure Coast Waterway Cleanup Week in Sebastian, and encourage all organizations and citizens to join the effort to clean up our waterways and to remember that all litter eventually makes its way to the water. So, this is you.
Would you want to say a few words first?
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. We would hope to see everybody out there and picking up garbage out of the lagoon. My name's Charles Stadelman. I am the chairperson of the Natural Resource Board. And again, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. It's tough year in, year out. We've been doing this. We pick up hundreds of pounds of garbage out of the lagoon every year we do this. Last year we won the Trashy Award, which meant we picked up more garbage per pound per person than all the other groups between here and Palm Beach. So there's a lot of garbage, there's a lot to do out there, and I look forward to the day when we don't have to do this. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd just like to add that the Treasure Coast Waterway Cleanup is coming up on, of course, the 26th, but folks can self-report and participate all throughout the week prior, from the 19th to the 27th, and people will be eligible for raffle prizes from the Marine Industries Association of the Treasure Coast for submitting their data cards after the event. So please come out, please support. If you can't be here at our location, please go out and support another location or check out the self-reporting option throughout the week. There is also a diving option for anyone who's interested in diving a little bit deeper into the lagoon and other water bodies to assist in removing pollution. So thank you.
And of course, it doesn't have to be cleanup day if you've seen a need for cleanup. So. Richard? Hello, again. Hello, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Vicky, how are you? You guys do a great job, a fantastic job. You'll give it a but you do better than giving it a shot. Okay, this is a proclamation for Parks and Recreation Month, July. Whereas Parks and Recreation is an integral part of communities throughout this country, including Sebastian, and whereas Parks and Recreation programs enhance our quality of life by contributing to a healthy lifestyle, community building, economic development, and environmental sustainability, and whereas recreation builds family unity, strengthens neighborhood involvement, offers opportunities for social interaction, enhances education, develops creativity, and promotes cultural diversity, and whereas our parks and trails ensure ecological beauty, provide space to enjoy nature, help maintain clean air and water, preserve plant and wildlife, and whereas local, state, and national parks located within the state of Florida contribute to the overall quality of life enjoyed by residents of and visitors to our state. Now, therefore, I, Bob McParland, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Sebastian, and on behalf of the Sebastian City Council, do hereby proclaim July 2025 as Parks and Recreation Month in Sebastian, and ask our citizens to celebrate and promote the parks in our city and county.
July is Parks and Recreation Month, and here in the city of Sebastian, we're celebrating the team that makes it all possible.
From sunrise to sunset, we're out here making sure our parks are safe, beautiful, and clean for everyone to enjoy.
Whether it's youth sports, adult fitness, or recreational leagues, we offer programs for all ages that promote health, fun, and community.
Behind every city event, from our festivals to parades, you'll find Parks and Recreation working hard to bring Sebastian together.
Parks and Recreation is more than parks. It's people, passion, and programs. And it's all about you, our community.
This July, help us thank the heart of our parks, the amazing employees of Sebastian Parks and Recreation. Happy Parks and Recreation Month. I'd like to thank Avery for putting that video together, and I'd like to thank all of our men and women of the Parks and Recreation Department, but mostly I'd like to thank the elected body and the citizens of Sebastian that demand a comprehensive Parks and Recreation Department. Thank you.
Thank you. Get in like we like each other. Come on. All right, thanks again. Thank you. Mr. Jones, you want to go over the brief announcements?
Sure, why not? Okay, announcement Friday, July 25th, Sebastian Police Department's Back to School Fun Day at Riverview Park, and that's from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Thank you. That leads us up to public input. Now's the time for anyone who wants to bring something to the council that's not already on the agenda. Yes, sir.
Your name? Oh, Frank Trinkle. A lot of neighbors and us and myself have had, and other people around the area have had some discussions about the very uncomfortable meeting that you all had to put last city council meeting. And I just want you to know that everybody that I have spoken to thinks you all did an awesome job, that your decision with including city staff was the appropriate one, and we think that there is absolutely no reason to worry about city council being able to handle the problems until the next election. And I just wanted you all to know that your constituents all appreciate what you did. We know it was really uncomfortable for you to handle that meeting, but we all wanted you to know that we stand with you. That's it.
Oh, thank you. I wasn't uncomfortable. I thought it went rather well. All right. I was wondering, I got a little nervous, uncomfortable. I didn't know. Anyone else from the public wish to speak? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Damian Gilliams, 1623 US 1. I hate to say, but I respectfully disagree with that gentleman because I was at the meeting and I don't think it was handled properly. I sat outside and I watched you guys on YouTube make a modification to the agenda. And when you make a modification to the agenda, you're going to take action until I walked in after the fact and the mayor made a remark, well, if you were here on time. Well, I purposely didn't want to be here on time because I wanted to see how you were going to manipulate and try to get one of your people on the board. But when you saw that I showed up, you knew that wasn't going to happen because it's wrong. Democracy is when you qualify, the next highest vote getter gets the seat. But you guys play politics, and that's okay. I'm all right with it. No big deal. So, but don't try to put one past us. He didn't see what happened, but I saw what happened. Just watch the meeting and watch the modification. As far as the Parks and Recreation goes, sir, there's been no contact with the businesses in that area, that community. We've asked. We had a meeting here. Michelle from Italian Cousins, Rashawn from the dry cleaners. We asked for you guys to communicate with us, to have a meeting with the businesses so that we can discuss the traffic flow. To this date, we have not heard from your staff. We've not heard from Parks and Recreation. As a matter of fact, I was at the last Park and Recreation meeting. They were so confused, they didn't know which side was up or down. They looked to the staff and said, well, what do we do? This is just, they looked for direction and take a vote, didn't know how to vote. So my suggestion to the staff and to the Parks and Recreation people that sit on that board may want to reconsider their chair because she was so confused, didn't know how to direct them. As far as the city attorney goes, everybody knows in this community you're going after my food truck business on my property, my commercial property. You're now up to about $30,000 in taking away my rights, my constitutional rights to utilize my property to run my business that's preempted to the state of Florida. And your city attorney is advising you to hire her friend in Orlando to...
Mr. Mayor,
excuse me, do you want to stop the clock? Stop the clock.
He's attacking city staff.
I'm not attacking anybody. This is fact. You want to stop the clock because you're taking my time up?
Well, so I'm also feeling a little uncomfortable about discussing pending litigation
Well,
that's in the court.
You can
And
do
it
that
has
upstairs, Mr. Mayor, privately. I can do it in public because I have that right and I know what's going on. So you may want to deny the public knowing what's going on, but you're spending $35,000 to deny me my right to use my food truck on my commercial property, which gives me a restaurant to do. And now we're going to the 4th District Court of Appeal. You're going to drop another $20,000 to defend it, and her friend is going to make money. And $50,000? Really? You want to attract businesses in this community to do business here, and you're running off somebody who's been here 40 years? I'm losing income on the vehicle, $2,000 a month. Who's going to pay for that when this is all over? We understand the politics, Mr. Mayor, that's going on. Let me make my point.
All right,
You may have won in the circuit court, and the judge denied my right to appeal without giving me any legal opinion. Not only that, she violated the law, and she did it on her own without having a 3-judge panel. But this is going to go to the 4th District Court of Appeal, and the community is going to find out exactly the game you guys are playing. Nobody wants to do business in Sebastian. They're all leaving. You got vacancies galore, and you're only catering to the... Anyway, watch the meeting. Sunshine Law violations like you wouldn't believe.
Okay, thank you, sir. That's time.
God bless Texas and New Mexico, Mr. Mayor. Maybe
Yes.
we can do something for those people along the riverbank, huh? Maybe you
Okay.
guys can
Thank you, sir.
take some of
Thank
that
you.
money and send it over there to the Salvation Army.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I know you
And
like
thank you
the
for
rules.
Mr. Mayor, thank you for not
All right.
interrupting me. I'm entitled to my time. You may not like what I have to say.
I listened to
But
you
don't
all
be
the time
rude.
and gave
Don't
you
be
extra
rude.
time even.
That's America. This is America. We have a right to speak.
Sure.
Don't be rude and don't
Now,
interrupt.
please take a seat, sir.
Okay, thank you. God bless you all.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to speak? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Phyllis Talbert, and I live in Sebastian. I had something happen to me last year that I didn't think was proper or correct. I pay my city taxes in payments because that's the only way I can afford to. I always pay it in cash because I put a little bit of money back at every paycheck so that I have those payments down. Christmas, I went down to pay it, and the office was closed, and then I had to go out of town for a couple of days, and when I came back, I think I was like 2 days late. And although I'm actually paying it early because it isn't due until next year, they charged me a $30 late fee. I don't think it's proper to charge somebody a late fee on something they're paying ahead of time. I asked the property department, and they wouldn't do anything about it. I just don't think it's fair, and I think it should be reconsidered.
Thank you, ma'am. I know. Wish there's something I could do about it, but. Anyone else from the public? Anyone on Zoom?
Not at this time.
All right, I'll close public comment. Leads us up to our consent agenda. Council?
Mr. Mayor, move approval of consent agenda.
Second.
Motion is second. No money? Roll call, Ms. Williams.
Vice Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
And Mayor McPartlin?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Leads us up to committee reports. We have a presentation of the annual report from the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. Mr. Blankenship?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. I will do my best to not be dazed and confused in my report for the last year of Parks and Recreation. We've had a fairly busy year, and I think that we made a lot of recommendations to Council. We had lots of discussions about the conceptual plan for Riverview Park, and that certainly will be going through 2026 and 2027, I would imagine. At Bryant Court, the playground installation went through, and we talked as a committee, and the staff recommended the artificial turf for accessibility, and that's actually working out really well. I don't know if you all have been to see it, but it's very comfortable, and you can fall on it because I kind of tripped a little once, but that was just trying to jump off a swing. The Barber Street backstops, that renovation has been completed. We had a lot of maps on the riverfront and in front of our parks that had been totally faded out, and the staff made it work, and we have new maps of trails and the bike paths, and the access points for pedestrians are replaced, and now people can actually read where they're going and what's happening in our park areas. The collaboration with United Way at Easy Street Park, that Born Learning Trail, that is getting a lot of use. There's lots of kids there. That park was really revitalized between the new park equipment and that learning trail. On the riverfront, Orca for shoreline stabilization and the buffering, that has been completed. Those plants are doing so well. It's just wonderful to see the changes on the riverfront. We have a lot of increase in programming. The stargazing, people should take advantage of that when it comes up again. It's a wonderful program. The not-for-profit brings the big telescopes. They let kids look at the stars. They show them how to do it. They show them the sky. It's just a wonderful program. We have great participation with the nutrition programs at the senior center, the concerts, and a lot of fitness programs. And Mr. Blankenship and his staff has been instrumental in introducing youth programs. We also now have an online My Legacy program where folks can go and order the bricks, order the benches, and order any type of legacy and just choose which park they want to place it on, and that can all be done online, which is nice. And I think you saw in the video our new parks logo, which I actually love. And Charles still here. Thank you so much for your collaboration on Garden Street Park. Those plants are doing great. The irrigation is in. That park looks like a Garden Street Park. We have pollinator gardens, all kinds of butterflies. It's a wonderful place to be. Pickleball has been upgraded with fans, lights, they have web camera, and now there are AED devices located in 13 of our parks. We have internally as an advisory committee, we have 2 new full committee members and 2 new alternate members that bring a lot of different expertise to us. So we're looking forward to continued times of going through all of our wonderful things that are happening in the parks and sending our advice to you is what we hope that will be the best thing for our residents and community. So thank you very much. I love what I do with this city, and the staff is absolutely phenomenal. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything to add, Mr. Blankenship?
Actually, I'd like to thank Vicki and the advisory board. They do quite a... I'm sorry. I would like to thank Vicki and the advisory board. They do quite a lot for us and with us, and they show up when we ask them to, and that means a lot for staff and for the park system. Thank you.
I wanted to say, Mr. Mayor, I really appreciate what the Parks Advisory Board, you know, a lot of boards go out, and I know like the Natural Resources Board, they're very involved in community events and things like that. And all of our parks members all have a park that they take care of. They make sure everything's going good there. I mean, they're very involved in the entire process, not just sitting and making decisions. So it's very exciting, and I want to say thank you to all of them for their hard work. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. Any other committee reports? No? All right. We have no public hearings. Least unfinished business. Item 11A, council discussion on the options for 1540 Indian River Drive, Fisherman's Landing, and the design concepts. Ms. Miller.
I'm actually going to set up a presentation for this one. So I just wanted to give you a summary of where we are to date with 1540 Indian River Drive. So I think I'll actually go to the computer. So 1540 Indian River Drive is part of the working waterfront, but it's just this building at the north edge. So just to give everyone a summary, this is the existing condition that we have, but just to get us there, some back history is back in 2021, in November, the back area was closed because it was found unsafe. The foundation was undermined in this area. This is a temporary wall that was put up to limit access. The fasteners and hangers and straps for all of this flooring were rusted and corroded. We were having significant, my bad. So this whole area was closed in 2021, and we went out and did preliminary and extensive structural assessments in 2022. We found preliminary costs to stabilize the foundation, repair the deck area, termite damage of the joists and rafters and beams. And it was determined that that cost could expand, and we did not want to justify substantial improvements by FEMA, which once you get over 50% of the building value, it triggers the need for upgrading of the entirety of the building. So since we had estimates just to repair the eastern area, but we knew there were going to be concerns for the rest of the building, it was decided to wait until the tenant that was in that space had left. So in 2024, they left the space, and since that time, we've gone in, cleaned it up, we've applied for a grant and have a waterway assistance grant to help with the design for the reconstruction in whatever manner we go forward with. So I just wanted to give everyone that summary. So the current interior space, this is the current interior space that's accessible. All of this area previously was closed off to the public. I just wanted to clarify that. So our insurance company actually went out and did this 3D scan to give you a sense of what the space looks like now that it is empty. So this is what used to be the store and main entrance area. And this is the most historic section of the building from 1927. Then as you keep going through, so this will all be available for the public, and no matter what we do with this building, we want to showcase the history. The original building stopped at this wall here, which was the kitchen. That's the 1927 building. And then there were many different areas that were just added on at different times, but then we have the bar and dining area. This temporary partition was what was put up because of the undermounting of the foundation here. And you can even see in this walkthrough, these are all spots of that termite damage. That's termite dust. We have cleaned up the area, and we've done all different assessments, but we still have an issue that we know needs to be dealt with in that space. And one thing to know is many of the areas in this building are walk-in freezers. They're not actual structural walls, but freezer spaces. So you can see that this building, one of the issues is things that have been added and changed all throughout the years. But I wanted to go back into that eastern dining area. So where we are now is we have a grant to move forward with design, and this was the area in the past that we'd opened up, and we reopened to see the foundation condition further to the west. But again, this is the area with the worst termite damage, and this was where we had our museum area. So this was just to give you a sense of the many different spaces. Where we are right now is for our grant, we have $100,000 for a match from the city and $100,000 from Florida Inland Navigation District just to create a design. This is in no means construction drawings, this is just preliminary. So we're here to ask you which option you'd like to focus on, and we'd go and get a consultant, come back for public meetings, and approval of all the plans. This is just so that we can focus on one design and allow us to use those funds for design to stretch further. We originally were thinking if you could have multiple options all at once, that would be great, but we would probably need additional funding to investigate all of these options at the same time. So option one, because of the condition of the eastern end and dealing with floodplain zones, we could remove the entirety of the building and go ahead and build a new structure of this size. So this would bring it, we would be able to, for about $2.5 million, so $2 million as an initial estimate would just be for the building envelope, and about $500,000 for incidentals and systems, the plumbing, mechanical, electrical, fire suppression. But $2 million is a very preliminary cost estimate. This is not finalized, but we want to just look at some costs up front. We could bring that to the original historic building as well as the first addition, which would include that first dining area. With this, we could potentially have a canopy around the edge, and this line could change and could move, but this would include removal of the entirety and rebuilding entirely from scratch. However, we would use architectural elements from the existing space. The intent is always to use as much historical component and character as we possibly can. Option two, in order to keep as much of the building as possible, it would make most sense to remove the eastern portion, and because of the cost for this renovation, bring it back to the original 1927 layout. The reason that we would have a smaller footprint for this building is because we would trigger substantial improvements. So that is through the FEMA and the National Flood Insurance Program, that once you meet more than half of the building's value, you have to upgrade to the latest codes and standards. That would definitely include reinforcing the existing walls, so we would have to be opening segments of these walls at this perimeter and creating new attachments to the foundation as well as the roof. So we would be cutting into a lot of different areas and really having to do a lot of localized work on the existing walls. We would have to do, of course, a new roof with new wind mitigation, new fire suppression, new HVAC. But it would be a smaller footprint using the existing walls just because of the care that you would have to do to bring it up to the latest building code. So you would get a smaller footprint, but this would go back to the more historical 1927 layout, which is where you have the end of your A-frame roof at this point. So this is the front open space, restrooms, storage, and kitchen, just those parts of the building included. Option three would be to include, one thing I did not talk about for option two is, although it is a smaller footprint, we're still thinking the cost is going to be about $2.5 million. And that is just because of the attention and structural reinforcement that will need to happen to all of the walls and existing components of the building we would try to be saved. So option three is where we would try to keep as much of the building as possible, because these letters here are the flood zone locations, so VE, AE, and X zone. However, right here, the limwa line, which is the limit of the moderate wave action, this triggers that this portion, at least this portion of the deck would have to be removed because the building has, the flood zones have changed over time, and now we are in this new regulation and we have to meet those latest codes. So we'd have to cut off at least that corner section of the deck, or maybe more likely a straight segment of the deck, and these finished floor elevations here and here are not up to code, so they would have to be raised higher. Using this third option of keeping the entire building, this add-on segment is where we have the most termite damage and the undermining of the existing foundation. So this green line is the edge of the concrete foundation, and where you, in 2021, we went in and saw that erosion from wave action has come in and undermined all of that. So we could cut off this section of the building, keep the rest, but we would have to raise this floor, raise this, and again, go ahead and deal with the foundation improvements. So, oops, sorry. So option 3, you would get a much larger floor plan, but you are dealing with the repair of the termite damaged area, the foundation issues, so this would significantly be larger cost than $2.5 million. And for all of these costs, we do not yet know how we will fund it. We will have to go out for grants, but we have funding right now for schematic design and construction drawings for one of these options. So we were just asking for your opinion on how to move forward with a request for a proposal and move forward with schematic designs before we bring it back to the public again. And do you have any other questions about those? I know it's a lot of different options.
In option 2 and 3, in both of those, do you have to raise the slab of the original building?
We will not have to raise the slab of the original building. It meets the current requirements.
It does?
Yes. It's just in keeping the outer deck portion.
Okay.
That is when you would trigger those finished floor elevation changes. But in both option 1 and 2, we would be removing the eastern end, not worrying about those flood zone requirements, and also removing those areas. You're minimizing your risk in the future for having possible flood issues and damage during storms. Any other questions?
Any other questions for Karen? I wish to start this discussion. You want to hear from the public? Open up the public first?
Yeah.
All right. Anyone from the public wish to speak on the 3 options? Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm challenged at the microphone. My name's Kevin Dixon. I'm a civil engineer and a resident of the town of Sebastian. You have 3 options in front of you, 3 project alternatives. You've been given estimates on the construction of each one of these options, and they're ballpark estimates. I understand that. What I think you all need to consider, in addition to what you've been given, and you might already have the information, I'm not aware of it, but you need to look at the operation and maintenance cost of each one of these alternatives over the lifespan of your project. Initially, one might appear to be cheaper than the other based on the design cost, but the total cost, again, is the entire operation and maintenance cost. There might be some legal institutional issues that apply to each one of the alternatives, but again, you need to set a time frame and compare each alternative over that time frame. And that's the end of my discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else from the public?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Damian Gilliams. Mr. Dixon is right. The operation and the maintenance cost is a big factor. But this has been a big boondoggle from day one. I don't know if you all remember when this was purchased by the city, it was put out to bid. I don't know if you remember who won the bid, but it was Kayaks, etc. But it was denied to them, and it was handed off to the good old boys. And this is what happens when you hand things off to the good old boys, because the good old boys got it, and they didn't want it after a while, because they saw the boondoggle. Like I saw the boondoggle. Go back to your records and take a look at it. It's one big boondoggle, one big taxpayers fraud, waste, disgusting part of Sebastian, and that's our working waterfront. It would have been better if you did a private partnership and public partnership, long-term, 99-year deal. Let the private people bring in the money. You're trying to fix something that cannot be fixed. The whole thing needs to be scraped, start from scratch, and make it a community center where it meets for the grants and for the state money and federal money. It should never have gotten to this. You know, poor maintenance for termites, failed maintenance on the landlord's part, which was the city of Sebastian. Now, I see the picture coming. I remember when we did this city hall, it was $3.5 million, police department. But when it was done, it was $7.5 million. What they do is they come in with the low ball offer, get the job, and then they do the change orders. Fast forward. This reminds me of the public utilities building that you guys just did at the airport. I was on council. The budget was $3.5 million. And by the way, that first one with the city manager, he was gone after I did an audit. I did a financial audit for the taxpayers. They figured it out. I figured it out, that it was a big scam, and they took us for a ride. The good old boys from Palm Beach took advantage of us. And I see this movie being played again because it just happened at the airport. We did a public utility department out there. It was $3.5 million. $9.2 million when it was done. There is no reason why a job should run more than 10% of whatever the estimated cost should be. And here we go again. Movie number 3. We're going to have $2.5 million, $3 million. They're going to come in and lowball it, get the job, and then the good old change orders. Be on the watch. The taxpayers are going to pay for this one. There's just so much money floating around when you buy a $250,000 boat for your new dock down there. You can't help yourself. And it's a boondoggle. Kayaks, et cetera, got cheated out of something, a long-term lease that they should have had. And the taxpayers are paying for it now. And so be on your watch, be on your guard, and it could be a beautiful thing, you know. Just like the one the county bought down the street, the Smith Fish House is sitting vacant now. $1 million into that one.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Good job.
Anyone else from the public who speak in this matter? Anyone on Zoom?
Not at this time.
All right, I'll close public input. Council? Yes, sir.
God, I hate to agree with Mr. Gilliams, but I will. Community center's not a bad idea. I don't agree with anything else he said, but community center's not a bad idea. But I'm not talking about that, dropping that down. So I have some concerns about trying to save that original building, and it's primarily what happens when we get into it. I mean, when we actually start getting into there and see what we have to do to do away with all the termite damage and what other structural damage is there, and you know, I think that we're taking on a project that it's going to be very difficult for us to understand exactly where it goes. But I do think we need to talk about what we want to do with that building before we talk about which of these 3 options we want to perform. I think the council, and I don't know where we need to go from a public perspective, but I thoroughly understand why the staff is asking us to pick one of those 3 options. They can't hire somebody and say, you know, I mean, this is what went on with the 3 Corners project or whatever it was in Vero Beach, and they spent years going through consultants, bringing them back grandiose pictures and so forth. But I think we need to kind of talk about and maybe make some decisions about what we want to do with the building. For example, do we really want a city-owned restaurant operated by somebody else? That started out, this was, contrary to what was just said, this was a public-private partnership at the beginning. The building was purchased, it was turned over to the Fisherman's Landing people. They brought in a restaurant owner, a restaurant operator. They opened a restaurant in it, and then because of a blow-up that occurred, that restaurant owner lost a lot of money when they walked away, when they were forced to walk away. So it was a public-private partnership that failed, primarily because the public side of it got upset with the private side of it, which happens a lot on public partnerships. Do we want a restaurant quality kitchen in it, or do we want a catering kitchen? If we offer the facility for use by the residents, which is the best use of it in my opinion, and we create an environment that has indoor and outdoor space where the residents can hold gatherings and parties and do things they want to do in there, then we might want a catering kitchen, but we don't need a full-blown restaurant quality kitchen in there to do that. A fish market, there are in my mind some reasons why we might want a fish market, because if we read the details of the presentation that the staff did, which by the way was very detailed and well put together, one of the things we're trying to do is to, I don't know, bring forward the fisherman's process, you know, and so forth. So a fish market might be worth having in there. There are several fish market operators in town, similar to what Krabby Bill was on Old Dixie Highway before he moved into that process. So maybe we do want a small fish market at the opening of that when the process goes. Outdoor deck space, how much outdoor deck space do we really want? I think we want a lot. And we want to make it comfortable, and we want to make it covered in some way so it's shaded so people can go out there and do that. I noticed on the first slide that showed the whole area, there is a dock on the north side of that. That dock is not part of the overall Fisherman's Landing process, correct?
So that dock is not included in the substantial improvements. So we can go ahead and make changes on that northern dock.
Okay.
And we would definitely do that simultaneous to this whole process to make sure that the site landscaping, but that also needs to be completely removed.
Yeah, so what I would propose is that we include that dock space in those in our design process, even if it means spending more than the $200,000. I don't know how much more it would be, but instead of piecemealing this process, you know, we don't wait later to talk about the dock. We bring that whole outdoor space into the design process. So all of the pieces of property there or facilities that are not part of the actual Fisherman's Landing or Fisherman's area, we do that. We bring that in. I think the existing structure, if we look at the original structural analysis that was done on it, I just don't feel that analysis, along with everything in my mind, and the stuff that I personally have been involved in, I just don't think it's advantageous to us to try to save that building in any way, to try to save that building. Now, I'm not talking about trying to take the wood off the front of it and see if we can get somebody to remill that and we make it part of the process. You know, maybe do some of those kind of things, but the overall design, I mean, I look at this, there's almost as much space in storage rooms as there is in display space, okay? So how do we restructure that to make it usable without tearing down walls that might be load bearing? You know, where do we get caught into that process of trying to restructure the interior of it to make it a more workable space without getting caught into what we might do to the overall load? The problem that we encountered with the termite damage and with the rot came because they tried to save the roof of the building without doing it correctly, without completely tearing it off and replacing it. They tried to cover it with some stuff and make it salvageable, and that backfired. It just didn't work, and it created part of the problem when we did that. So my preference would be that we talk about option number one. First of all, we have to define for whoever does this what we want the inside of the building, what we want to accomplish with the property, so they know what to design, instead of saying, please design it and come back and tell us what you want with the property. To do that, we need more public involvement. We need more public input. And that needs to either be part of their overall design process, or we need to do that before we do an RFQ or RFP or whatever we're going to do, a statement of work for one of our already existing engineering firms. We need to do that before that so we can include those things within those documents are deliverables that we expect from them. That's my.
Yeah, and I think we're already way into this thing. If we keep pushing this off further down, it's just going to cost more down the road. And honestly, I agree that having been in that building underneath the backside of it a year or more ago, I can tell you that I think the best thing for us to do fiscally, being financially conservative, is to tear down, raise the whole building and start over new. Because if we try to save just the old garage part of that, we don't know what we're getting into when we start digging into that. When that roof comes off, what's going to happen? Are those exterior walls on that piece is going to fall in or not? So, but I think that we need to move forward. I would certainly be in support of option number one, and obviously we need to look at what the design of the interior will be, and I'm sure that obviously that's going to happen before we go any further with anything. So that would be my opinion, Mr. Mayor.
All right, Mr. Nunn.
So I would like to agree with the gentleman and his points about future maintenance, and I think the only way we can be sure of that and do the right thing is option one. Obviously, that's to me, it's a no-brainer. We can't leave something with unknowns left there. We would be taking a chance with taxpayers' money, and from what I'm hearing, it's going to cost the same if we try to stabilize this small chunk of a building to what it would be to go through the whole thing. So I agree with that. I agree with Mayor Dodd about a community center. I don't agree with anybody else. I agree with Mayor Dodd about a community center.
Councilman Dodd, don't.
I mean Councilman Dodd, sorry.
His face
Sorry,
is just
Bob.
going-
That's all right.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I agree with Councilman Dodd on the community center space. I've said before, I wish we had a second floor on that building that had a beautiful community center that could be rented by the people with windows open to view. How beautiful would it be to have that on our riverfront as a a centerpiece for us to use as a city, for citizens to use? I think it would be amazing. I agree we need to go through what we want in this building. We also need to discuss the elements that are required. I know the museum is required. I thought the snack bar was required, and the fish market was required, but only some of those. Go ahead. I would like to hear.
So I went through our declaration of restrictive covenants and our previous grant management plan. The only lasting requirement is an education component of the building, which we met with the museum. You can do that in whatever way you would like.
Yeah.
And it would also still have to promote the fishing industry. So we did that with the fish market itself. But it could be done in other ways. You can have community events with tastings and talks and all sorts of other options.
I believe that with hearing that, I believe the museum is first. We should definitely keep a Sebastian Fishing Museum. I think that should be a part of it. But I would rather see us move away from us having a private venture in there and using this as a city community center type facility with what you just mentioned, a kitchen for, like the community center has, just a simple, Catering kitchen, thank you. Something simple like that could be used. I think that would be wonderful. We have fish markets. I don't think we should ever be in the business of competing against private enterprise. And the rent that we charged on that building was advantageous to the old customer that we had in our building compared to what other people are paying for rent. So I would think we should stay out of that business personally and try to keep this as a city building for city use, for community use. And I think public meetings would be to discuss that. I would like us to stay out of the private venture business personally if I have a decision, which I do have a choice sitting up here. So I think everything I've heard from people, we were sad about the things that went on and the people that left there and the leases that ended and, delicious food that I've had in that place. But I think we should go back to the drawing board and build something that represents the Sebastian Fishing Village look and feel, and have it feel and work for our community.
Yeah, and that 4,000 square foot would actually add to that as well, because the other part is what, 2,600 square foot?
Yep.
So we at 4,000 square foot under option one for interior space to design it however. I think that's a plus.
Well,
I have a question though before, unless you've got something you want to say first.
well, I think the only way to go is with the option number one. I mean, when you look at it, that building, it reminds me of the clubhouse as a kid. And then you kept adding on it and adding on it. And not one part of that building was ever built up to code. And then if you try to stave one piece, it's like a house of cards, I think, waiting to come down. Once you pull that roof off, I think everything's stuck to it. So I like the idea of, the community center with the catering kitchen that could look at doing weddings or large family events. I think it's the perfect location. And as the gentleman mentioned, the maintenance. Anything less than option number one is going to cost us way more money down the line. And I wish when they first took this project over or undertook this project, they really looked at the building, because the building, as it was mentioned, was not fixable back then. No matter what you did, it was just put more lipstick on a pig. That's about all you could do. So I'm in favor of the option number one, and then, of course, with the public input for design, so.
I mean, we've all seen this old house and we know how it turns out. This is commercial version, this old house. It'll be a nightmare if we don't go
Mr.
option.
Dunn, you had a question?
And this is, I don't want to put Brian too much on the spot, but what if we ask the Parks Department and the Parks Rec Committee to do, to work with a series of strategic statements that define what they would like to do inside that building, but put them on a tight timetable. Maybe have it done by the end of August or middle of September timeframe, because you're looking at having to actually do out your proposal by the end of this year, so you can get the response and get it completed by the end of about 26.
Yeah, so we'll need to expend the funds by September 1st of 2026, I believe, from the fine grant.
Okay, so we got some time to do that, and I'm not talking about having grandiose public meetings, but let those people try to put together something and then do one big public meeting with them to go let anybody from the public who wants to come in and talk about it, look at it. Could we do something like that?
I think we could utilize our expertise on the Parks and Rec Committee to kind of get some input and start brainstorming some ideas. And then I think it would be worthwhile for our consultant to also have a public meeting at the very beginning of the process. That way we can get a lot of public input before we ever start sitting down for a design. Because, we mentioned 4,000 square feet in this. We may find out that we only need 3,500 square feet, or we may need a second floor, or, different elements of this that before we get too far into a design or a conceptual plan, we'd want to know all these things. So I think that would probably be step number one for any consultant that we choose, would be to hold a large charrette to kind of get input. But we can go ahead and start that process and begin brainstorming ideas using Parks and Recreation.
Okay, because the more, I did the consulting business, and I can tell you, I will give the customer exactly what they asked me to give them. And nothing more, and probably much less. And so the more you put in the scope of work for the consultant, the more likely you're going to get back from them what you really want, as opposed to what they want. We can look at areas all the way around us that had these kind of problems with getting what they wanted and everybody getting upset with it. So my recommendation would be that in the scope of work for the consultant, we include as much as we can about the things we want the building to accomplish. Not say, I want 2 stories, but say, I want this much indoor space. I want outdoor space that flows through, kind of just put together something that kind of flows through that. I'm sure Karen's got some experience in doing that and can work through that process. But, I will tell you, if the less you tell them, the more you'll get what they want. The more you tell them, the more you'll get what you want, because that's what consultants do. She's smiling when she says that, but that's basically what they do. So, but I'll make a motion that we support option number 1.
Second. All right. I have one more thing I'd like to add if I can. My only recommendation when we do get to the public meeting, and if we go back to the CRA district planning, we had a public meeting where we discussed all the different elements that were come up with. It wasn't, what do you want to see in the city of Sebastian? It was, here's a bunch of ideas. What do you like best about these ideas? I equate it to when I was a scoutmaster. I gave my scouts a list of 5 summer camps we were willing to do, that we were willing to go to, and said, hey, which one of these do you want to do? We let them make the choice, but we guided them to the choices we were willing to accept. So that we don't get a bunch of crazy ideas. If we have a bunch of ideas to choose from, I think it might help direct where we want to go with sensibility and maybe a little more planning. It would be easier to plan. Just my thoughts. Thank you.
Okay, Parks and Recs Committee down there. You heard that. Go to work.
All right. So we got a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Are you clear on everything, Mr. Benton?
Nothing additional.
Okay. All right. Roll call, Ms. Williams.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
Mayor McPartlin?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. That brings us up to new business, item 12A, council discussion and consideration on performance evaluations of our charter officers. Cindy, is this yours?
Yeah. Okay.
Per resolution R2303 regarding the charter officer evaluations, and that includes our city clerk, city manager, and city attorney. The Human Resources Department was directed to prepare performance evaluation forms for City Council and disperse them before June 1st, which occurred. Council was directed to complete the evaluations no later than July 1st, and that also occurred. So now you must summarize your evaluations and then vote on merit increases.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I'll start off. I'm extremely happy with all of our charter officers. You've done a phenomenal job. I mean, we came through. I mean, the big thing was the centennial. That was awesome. And I'm okay with eligible for a merit increase for each of them, but I'd rather wait until after our budget hearing and see what we have, rather than put a number on any kind of thing right now. Anyone else?
I'll go next. Okay. I want to say that, you know, I was not unhappy with where we were before our new city manager. I definitely saw things that needed changing, but, you know, it's been a really good time with our new city manager, and I want to commend him on such an amazing job. I always knew he had it in him to do it, and he's been a great, refreshing face in that seat, and it's been wonderful. And you know, I think a reflection of his spot, to speak about him specifically, is to see the people I have sitting out here in our staff, and he's brought in some amazing staff. I mean, we really are lucky in the city. Not that we had bad staff before, but the old Parks and Rec director was a little rough, so the new Parks and Rec director is really good, but just kidding.
Open-minded.
Yeah, but no, we just got a great open-minded staff with just great abilities, and moving forward, I appreciate that. And of course, Jeanette is amazing. We know that. She works very hard for us. And as far as our city attorney, well, I think we're in a perfect place with the perfect attorney for us, and she does a wonderful job. So that's what I have. And I agree with the mayor on the merit increases. They deserve it. There's no doubt. I think we just have to get to the budget so we can figure out what we've got, and hopefully the state doesn't ruin it for us, and we can move forward with a wonderful year. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'd like to echo those concerns as well. Mr. Benton has done a great job. I am so excited to have Mr. Benton as our city manager. He is very approachable from anyone. Anytime you need something, if he does not answer the phone call when you first call, he will definitely call back. And I understand that. We're all busy, so you can't answer the phone every single time. But anything I've asked of Mr. Benton, he has taken care of it. And I really like having a city manager, especially some of the new hires and everything that we have in this city now, new staff. It's just amazing that it flows from the top down. When they say leadership starts at the top, it does. And when you have good leadership, it reflects on the men and women that work under that head, like the city manager. And Jeanette, there's not much I can say. Jeanette is just awesome. She makes sure that we have everything that we need, any kind of packet I need for any kind of other meeting or whatever in the county or throughout the state with the Florida League of Cities. Organizing everything for us, Jeanette is amazing. And our city attorney, she's done a great job. I've had the opportunity, I sit and watch some of different things, but particularly like code things that happen. I watch how she operate there. I watch how all of the things that she do in the background when I've asked for something to get done and looked into, it's always taken care of. So I really appreciate each of you for what you do for this city of ours.
Okay.
Mr. Dodd?
Well, I have to be careful about Jeanette, because every time I say something nice about Jeanette, my wife thinks I like her too much. So, but I mean, I have to say, Fred's was a perfect explanation of just how well she takes care of the council. Brian has done an exceptional job. We're getting information as a council from Brian on things that I tried for 4 years to get from previous city managers, like what's the status of certain projects and what's going on in these departments and what's doing this. And you only have to ask him once, which I did about some things. And the next thing, he's delivering spreadsheets to the council that has that information in it, which is that type of communication is needed for us to do our job correctly. At times in the past, I felt like some of the city managers were tolerating the council but not working with them. And I don't get that feeling from Brian at all. He's working with the council, so I think he's doing an exceptional job. I haven't had anybody in the staff tell me they didn't like him, so I guess he's working well with them too. And I think he's getting along with the staff fine when it comes to that process. I can just say about Jennifer, the city attorney, I was in her office yesterday afternoon, late or mid-afternoon, and asked her a question, and by 5 o'clock, she'd done research and answered my question. That's the kind of response that we get from her, which I appreciate greatly. I mean, I asked her kind of an off-the-wall legal question that probably I should have known the answer to, but I wanted to make sure, and she gave me an extremely good response very quickly on that. So she does a great job. She's highly qualified and does a great job. So I'm very comfortable with the staff. I personally think that what I'm seeing in the budget, and I actually have a copy of the draft budget it was given to me tonight. I think we have to be careful about merit increases, but I do think the staff, our charter officers should receive the same increase that the standard staff gets as a result of our budget process this year. So if our staff gets 5%, they should get 5%. I don't know about the budget being capable for us to extend it much beyond that, but that's because I'm kind of a fiscal conservative and I hate to spend that kind of money. So, but that's it. So thank you. All right. So we're all good with that. You guys did a wonderful job. And again, like Mr. Ben, I don't know where he gets his organizational skills from. I think the only time you don't get an answer from him is when he's on the Little League field, and that's because the umpire has his phone, but he will call you once the game ends for sure. So thanks again. All right. And that leads us up to most important item, 12B, consider appointing a voting delegate for the Florida League of Cities Conference.
I'll take it. I think it's my turn.
All right, that sounds good. We like it when it happens that way.
We also need to look at the August meeting, the first meeting. That meeting falls within the conference date, so we might want to move it back to Tuesday. Up to Tuesday until.
Didn't we move it?
No, I don't know. I don't remember, but
Jeanette?
Correct.
We did move it to Tuesday.
We did not move it.
We did not. I didn't think so either. Okay.
The conference, obviously, on the 13th of August is our meeting. So I know I had previously looked at the calendar, and the 12th is available in council chambers. That would be Tuesday, if that works for everyone.
Are you sure we didn't move it? No, I could have swore we talked about it. Okay.
That works for me.
The 12th?
So we're going to go August 12th.
Okay.
Now, can we make that dependent upon whether we have more than 30 minutes worth of items on the agenda?
It's going to be short. It'll be short, right?
If we will make sure we have stuff. If not, then we can cancel it.
Okay.
All right. So you'll be able to get that out, the advertisement. August 12th will be the meeting.
Yes, we can change
All
it.
right,
August
6 o'clock, right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
I'm only putting a half hour on my calendar. So.
All right. All right.
Don't make dinner plans.
All right. That sounds great. Thank you, Mr. Nunn, for taking on the delegate duties. All right, leads us up to Madam Attorney. Any matters for us tonight?
No, sir. We did have some new laws go into effect July 1st. As soon as I get a really good, comprehensive legislative update together for you, I'll be sending that along, and I'll also continue to keep you apprised of legal developments as they occur.
All right, thank you. Mr. Benton.
Just a couple updates. So the very tentative budget was put out today. You all have received a copy of that. And a reminder, we do have our budget workshops scheduled for next Wednesday and Thursday, both days starting at noon or starting at 9 a.m. On Wednesday and Thursday, we'll have them here in council chambers once again, and we'll get it kicked off Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. So just a quick reminder of that, and informing the public that we'll have that opportunity as well. They can attend. It's an open meeting, and we will also have it available via Zoom for those meetings. The second thing is, I just want to say thank you not only to the staff that we have here, they do a great job, but also the entire staff that we have throughout the city, not just the ones sitting in the room tonight. So thanks to them for everything they've gotten done this past year. As we're going into budget time, it's obviously very tight, and a lot of things are happening operating personnel wise and stuff. So we're just going to do our best, and hopefully at the end we can come out and take care of the employees that are out every single day working hard for our residents and doing an amazing job throughout the city. So thanks to them. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Ms. Williams, anything? Mr. Nunn?
Yes, sir. I just want to say, first of all, 4th of July, what an amazing day that was. What a great parade and some great fireworks as well. Great job to the whole staff on getting the float ready and getting us prepared, and all the people that worked that day to help make that day a success. Thank you.
Anything else? Mr.
No,
Dodd?
sir.
Oh, okay, I just have one thing. We all got an email, and I think we've gotten a couple emails about this, about the trash collection and the maggots and the flies. And
I spoke with the gentleman today.
I just want to let everybody know that sometimes I wonder about, because I haven't seen maggots and flies, and I'm not sure where all that's coming from, but we chose to go to a once a week. The county went to once a week for the same reason. The cost to go to do twice a week pickup was terrible. I mean, we were talking about an additional $300 or so a year on each individual resident to go to twice a week collection, and it's going to get worse in the future. If there are things you can do to stop maggots and flies from building up in your trash, first of all, you can put them inside plastic trash bags and seal them, and there are things that you can do with that. But I just want to let everybody know that contract is up in 26, I believe.
2030.
Brian, is it?
2030, I think.
I don't recall right off the top of my
Yeah,
head.
it's 7 years and then a 5-year renewal.
If the residents want to go to twice a week, that's the time to do it. They can come to council and say, I want to go back twice a week, I'm willing to pay for it. But I think that the decision to go to once a week was based on the financial impact on most of the residents. And for people, we're getting a very minor number of complaints, but it's common. It's coming, it's coming a little bit more. So try to do what you can do if you're having those kind of problems, but I just don't know if there's anything the city can do about that. And for the lady who had the issue with the tax collector, that's a county tax collector. The city doesn't actually collect taxes. That's all done through the county tax collector. And I have great sympathy for them charging you something like a late charge on something like that. I think it's kind of ridiculous that that's being done, but you need to talk to the county tax collector if you haven't already done so, and see if there's anything they'll do for you. But I don't know if there is, but it's not the city that does that. We don't actually collect that stuff. So that's it.
Anything else?
No.
Vice Mayor Jones.
Yes, thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank all of our staff in the city for an amazing Independence Day celebration that we had here. It would not have went the way it did without the support of all of our city employees and everybody that participated in that. So I really want to thank them for making it successful. One of the things another thing that I'd like to speak on tonight is there are a lot of micro-mobility vehicles and electric bikes and everything that rides up and down our streets and sidewalks. And I just want everybody that if you're operating one of those, they should be very careful, because some of these driveways sit off the road. If somebody's coming from a business, there's a crosswalk there, and then before you can get out to the road, I mean, if you have a scooter or something doing 15, 20 miles an hour, that person that's pulling out in that car from that driveway is not going to see you in time. So everybody needs to be careful. If you're pulling out from those driveways, make sure you stop before you get to the crosswalk, the sidewalks, and look and see if anybody's coming down that sidewalk before you proceed out to the roadway, to the stop sign, to then make your left or right turn, depending on which way you're going. So just be mindful. There are a lot of those vehicles out there, and those people that are operating those need to be very careful and understand that they could be hit at any moment going through those driveways and sidewalks and stuff. So just be very careful when you're driving out there, because the last thing we want to see is someone get injured or killed as a result of one of those micro-mobility vehicles that are traveling on our sidewalks. And that's all I have, sir.
Yeah. I hope some of those on those micro-mobility, that they're minding everybody else. So I've driven through the Publix parking lot where they're not even following any kind of rule and just pop out, and even through the library. So be careful on those. And again, reiterate, staff, 4th of July was fantastic. I was scared the night before when I looked at the weather reports, and it was 80–90% chance of rain for the whole doggone day, but we were able to get it off, and that's because staff was out there, not just out there during the parade. They were out there at dark 30, and they were preparing everything. And then they probably didn't go to bed until well after the fireworks went off, and they did a fantastic job. And the staff is always extremely courteous with the public. I've never got a complaint about our staff with any members of the public and their interactions, and they're always very helpful. And I know it was a really long day, and the staff that worked on the float, incredible float, fantastic. At first I thought the rockets were leaning a little bit, but actually that's the way they're supposed to look. And maybe next year some dry ice so it'll be smoking. That would make it look really good. So, but she did a phenomenal job. I mean, it was unbelievable. I didn't hear any complaints about the fireworks. They're 14 minutes, but they were very good. So, being no further business, that's all I got. Good night. Next week, budget hearings, 16th and 17th.